Hi, this is Chris with B2 Talent Solutions. We've created this video for you to hopefully answer some of the questions that you might have prior to our first meet. So what is recruiting research? As we define it, recruiting research is the act of aggregating data, which is pulling data from many different sources, and then combining that with original research. We would then validate that, segment that down, and deliver that to clients in a way that's actionable for them. Commonly, the challenge that people find, or that companies find when they come to us, is that you have two pools of people. One are active candidates, and then there's a much larger pool of passive candidates that exist. And the active candidates are those individuals that are applying. And it's great when they apply because you know that they're interested, you have their resume, you have their contact information, you have all the data on them. The challenge though is that if this smaller pool of people isn't fitting your overall need, you have to go to the passive pool and you have to be able to attract these individuals to you. And first you have to identify them. And then secondly, you have to find a way to actually engage them. But the challenge here is that because they're passive, they haven't given you their contact information. So you need to be able to find their contact information in some way. And the methodology that's commonly used is that most recruiters are sending emails out through LinkedIn, but the response rate for those passive candidates on LinkedIn is still very low. I mean, it's like a 25% response rate or less. Whereas if you had, say, their cell phone number and you sent them a text message to their cell phone, there's a 98% open rate on text messages that are received. I mean, same thing with my phone. If somebody sends me a text, I open it. But we're so good these days at screening out unwanted communication, which really this is when we're trying to reach out to somebody on an outbound basis. That's unwanted communication. So we have filters on our emails. We have individuals at our office that don't let you through. There's a gatekeeper that won't let you through. This helps you to bypass much of that. So sometimes I'll be asked, Chris, what are the challenges with recruiting research? Or are there any problems? Are there any downsides? And there are some. The first and the biggest one is that data has a half-life. So if you're looking at an industry where the average tenure is 18 months, then you know that after 9 months, much of your data isn't going to be valid any longer. And secondly, it's not an end-to-end solution. And by that I mean, if you're looking for a firm that's going to identify and then also engage and attract, this takes identification off the table. This supercharges or adds jet fuel to your engagement, but you still need to have somebody who's going to execute on the data or execute on the research and tell that compelling story to the candidates that you have and actually attract them to your organization. And that piece, that last piece, is not a service that we provide. So who is this good for? Oftentimes companies will come to us and they have a very defined picture on where they'd like to see talent from, but aren't gaining traction on that. We can help flesh that out. Very good in that scenario. Also very good for those organizations that have internal recruiting teams that are heavy users of LinkedIn and have many folders of candidates that haven't responded. We can provide the intelligence for those candidates as well, so you can have other ways to reach them. So surprisingly, this service may not be a good fit for all companies. If you're an organization that doesn't have a defined idea where you'd like to pull talent from, or if your organization can run ads and net the appropriate people, or if you're coming to us and if you're asking us to talent map out a sales department, or perhaps an accounting department, or even an HR department, we're not going to be the right choice for you. But if you're coming to us and wanting to completely talent map out different technology departments within, say, the $1 billion plus category of companies in the US, then we're a pretty good source for you at that point. One other element to look at is that some of the companies, even within the technology space, are only going to talent map out at the executive level, whereas we will map out all the way down to the individual contributor as well. So most commonly, those that are going to reach out to us and engage with us are going to be either technology executives that are managing some major transformation, or corresponding HR business partners that are serving the technology group. Companies are commonly utilizing our services in the big picture to achieve economies of scale. And what I mean by that is that they may have a very large portfolio of opportunities that they need to fill. And this is a way for them to gain the actionable intelligence and make many hires and not have to use outside services or outside recruiting firms and pay the fees associated with that. In regards to cost varies. So it depends on if somebody's going to engage on a one-time basis versus looking at a long-term and larger need. We have clients that spend as little as a few $1,000s for a limited output on a one-time basis, and other clients that are spending well more than $10,000 a month on a subscription basis. taking this a step back, first off, this is original research. And so every customer requirement is different. Every output on what they're asking for is different. There's not a cookie cutter approach to any of this. And because of that, it takes us some time to even develop a quote for you. So it'll take us a couple of days, very likely, to even get a quote back in front of you. If you see companies that are saying that their pricing model is on an hourly basis, you know that it's a very manual sort of crunch that they're doing to be able to gather that data. Whereas if it's more of a flat fee, you know that they're aggregating data and pulling data from different sources. So you've already taken the right step, which is to say that you filled out the form, you've received the calendar invitation for our next meeting, which is a video conference. During that meeting, you and I will sit down and we'll discuss your needs as an organization and what you're trying to accomplish. From this, we'll come back to you with a quote, and we'll also provide you sample data so that you can see really exactly what the output will look like. And if you decide to move forward and engage, then we'll provide you ongoing support as long as you need our services.